Welcome to Daily Truths with Dave Ahlman.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Daily Truths. I love my mom and dad. They both passed away a long time ago, over 20 years ago. My mom was one who I could have spiritual discussions with. It seemed like when my dad retired, for whatever reason, she started studying the scriptures more and just watching things on TV to help her grow in her relationship with Jesus. And I would have deep spiritual conversations with her. I miss that. And my dad was one of those who would pass on the blessing to us all the time, to Beth and I. He'd say stuff like, I'm proud of you, keep going, you're doing a great job. Every older person, if their parents are still living, still needs to hear that. It's interesting, especially if your love language is words and mine was words. My dad would say every time he heard me preach, I'm so proud of you, son. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Man, I miss him. I miss my mom. I miss having those deep spiritual discussions with her. I miss hearing the blessing, a word of affirmation, and encouragement from my dad. But they're gone. And that's tough. In this text, in Matthew chapter 9, remember Jesus has spent time with Matthew and a bunch of his renegade friends, tax collectors, pagans, immoral people who've been booted out of the synagogue. And then he has a little discussion with the Pharisees and tells them who he is and what he's all about. And he talks about the new covenant and stuff. And in the middle of it all, a guy by the name of Jairus, Luke and Mark tells us, comes to Jesus with a plea. Listen to this. While he was saying these things to them, namely to the Pharisees, behold, a ruler came in, his name was Jairus, and knelt before him, saying, my daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live. Now, who was this Jairus? He was a ruler of the synagogue, so he was a Jew. And their responsibilities were to make sure the scrolls were taken care of, to make sure the worship services were done properly and fairly and rightly, to make sure that the school, rabbinical school and school for educating children was run properly. Their job was to make sure the operations of the church or the synagogue ran well, to make sure the building was taken care of, to make sure that the rabbis who they got on Sabbath were there and did their job. I mean, they sounded like kind of an elder and a stewardship guy and a trustee all rolled into one. So they were pretty important guys. They had a pretty important position. Now, this Jairus' daughter had just died, and he had such incredible faith about the Lord Jesus Christ that he came to him and he said, all you need to do is just touch her hand and she will live. Now, you're going to hear what happened here in a few days because I'm going to be going through this verse by verse. But I think of those words, just touch her hand and she will live. When my parents died, I kind of had the same request. Lord Jesus, raise them from the dead now. Just touch their hand and they will live. I have that kind of faith. I know you do too, but it wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right place to say that. Oh my. But a day is coming when Jesus Christ will return and he will shout our name and the trumpet will sound and he won't even need to touch the hand of our loved ones. He will simply say the word, come forth, come out. And our loved ones, my mom, my dad, those loved ones that you know and have in your life who aren't here anymore. Oh my goodness, they're going to be raised, not with the touch of the hand, but a shout, a voice of command. And he'll say, whatever your loved one's name is, come out. That's what Easter is all about. That's what the resurrection of Jesus is all about. We believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so when he comes back, he will take those who belong to him, who trust in him. He will take back with him those who believe in him and will be in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. Listen to this, then he'll take us home. And without a touch of the hand, but rather a voice of command, he'll raise our loved ones. He'll raise my mom, he'll raise my dad from the dead. And I'll be reunited with them. And I'll hear a word of encouragement from my dad once again. And I'll have deep theological conversations with my mom again. Why? Because Jesus lives. He conquered the grave. He raised, you're going to hear about that here in just a few days. He raised Jairus' daughter from the dead. He does the same thing for our loved ones. And when we are laid to rest, and our loved ones are gathered around our grave, And they have this desire that we would be raised, that Jesus would just touch our hand and we would be raised. That day is coming. I minister to people here at Mount Hope Lutheran Church who are precious. They all believe what I believe. But I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, and this is the bastion, in many ways, of liberalism. There are very few churches here in Boulder. There's only one that I know of that's thriving. Man, people need Jesus. You need Jesus. And I'm glad if you are a believer in Jesus, you have him. Because the answer to this horrible thing called death is the empty grave of Jesus. Jairus knew that Jesus had the power to make his daughter alive again. We believe that Jesus has the power to transform our hearts, to transform lives, to transform cities. And that same Jesus is coming back someday to raise us from the dead, reunite us with our loved ones, and take us home. I can't wait. And I'll bet neither can you. Have a great day in Jesus Christ. And that is today's Daily Truth.
Thank you for tuning in to Daily Truths with Dave Ahlman. If this ministry is blessing you, please consider supporting us by sharing this channel with a friend. You can also like, comment, subscribe, or leave a review. This helps us tremendously. Come back tomorrow for your next Daily Truth.